Welcome to the LJ Rogers Transflo training video. I'm going to go through the new process of Transflo so that everybody will have an understanding of how that works before our hard deadline of October the 13th. So by now you should have your red Ziploc bag that has all your materials in it. Inside there is a instructional packet. There's your new trip envelopes and the new trip sheets that are in a pad format. The only thing you don't need is that you don't have that you may need are some brown envelopes. Those are only for people who are on paper logs still. If you're on e-logs, you don't need those. So if you're on paper logs, you need to grab some of those brown envelopes that you would also use to turn your logs in. They're not in the bag, so that's something you need to get on your own from dispatch. I am going to just quickly go through the packet so that everybody can kind of understand where we're going with this, and then you can direct specific questions to dispatch, payroll, Jeff, or Paula, and somebody can help you get those answers. So the front of your packet here, I'm just going to go through some highlights, is a letter from Ronald, which kind of indicates some things that you might need to know. One is that we are going to start, once you get your packet, transferring all documents in. You can do that either at a Flying J or a Pilot, or you can download the Transflo app to your smartphone. If you do the app, our fleet ID is LJRT, so that should allow you to log on so that your information comes to the right account. And usually at every Flying J and Pilot there's a kiosk or there's a service desk where someone can help you. So that's going to be the way to do that if you're out on the road. If you're here, we'll have a scanner in the dispatch office that you can use to scan when you're here at the terminal. The thing that'll be different about this is normally you turn in everything that you do for a week in one envelope, whereas now it's going to be each trip has its own trip sheet and its own envelope and will be scanned as its own separate scan. So if you go from Mebane to Atlanta, that's one trip, one scan, one envelope. Atlanta back to Raleigh, another trip, another scan, another envelope. So when you come back to the terminal, you'll have your envelopes that you need to turn in, which have already been scanned. You will need to scan your items for that load once the load delivers. You're not holding on to them and scanning them all at one time, but once the load is delivered. The cutoff date will be Friday at midnight. Everything comes in date and time stamped so that we know exactly when it comes in, and there will be a hard cutoff at midnight. That's in our system. That can't be overridden. Once it comes in after 12 o'clock midnight, it will go into the next pay period. So something delivered on a Saturday will then, of course, go to the next pay period. The main reason we're going to this new system, A, is to be able to service our customers better. Many are requesting proof of delivery upon delivery, and this will allow us to be able to accommodate them in that factor. This will also help us with bill of ladings getting lost, getting misplaced, your personal receipts getting ruined that you need to get reimbursement on, and it will allow us in time to shift to a 1-week pay period, which will be beneficial. That's pretty much the gist of this front sheet. I would definitely make sure that you read it all, just in case there's something that I've missed. The next 2 pages are sheets from Transflo, so you're looking at this page here as well as this page here, and these are just Transflo documents that just kind of give you some other information. The next page here, new trip sheet, is our new sheet that you'll use for every trip. It's in your packet. It's in this little pad format, and it's basically like you're used to. Basic name, truck number, mileage, trailer number, you know, where you're going, expenses, all of that stuff that you would fill out normally. Next is a sample for you to look at. Pretty much everything is standard like you would expect it to be. You know, here we've wrote that you go from Mebane to Rural Hall to Grand Rapids, Michigan, and that's your trip. That's the end. Put in any expenses that may occur, any advances that you get, if there was any damages or shortages, and if so, then please list those down here. And so this is the trip sheet for that particular trip. One thing that is going to be different, that's going to be required, is that the LJ Rogers trip number, which is the 6-digit number, be placed on all paper that's related to that trip so that it does not get misplaced within the Transflo system and impact your payroll being released on time. So we want to make sure that, like on this sample bill of lading up here, I have put that trip number up at the top so that that verifies that that goes with that specific trip. Same thing with your expenses. On this, looks like 2 tolls, a parking receipt, and an expense for some washer fluid here. Those would need to be taped together. There'll be tape and paper provided at the kiosk as well as at our terminal. If you're using either one of those, tape it down. Again, there's the trip number here. Wrote in parking fee here, writing down here what it's for, windshield washer fluid. So all these expenses are on one page when it scans in. And the same thing if you have a scale ticket, you would just tape it down, scale it in, scan it in, trip number listed on there so that all that's in there together. And then at that point, you're done with that trip. You would take all that information, fold it up. It would then go in your trip envelope as so. You'd seal it up. That's done. You're ready to move on to your next trip. And your envelope's pretty simple, that you're going to fill out date, load number, your truck number, and your name. And it just has some more instructions on the bottom about making sure everything is scanned in and that you have all of your documentation with the trip number listed on it. Once you get back to the terminal, you will turn in all of your trip envelopes. If you go from Mebane to Atlanta and Atlanta right back, you'll have 2 of these to turn in upon your return. If you go from Mebane to Atlanta, Atlanta to Indiana, Indiana back, you would have 3 of these to turn in. So these would still be turned in the box in the driver's room. There'll be a box in the payroll room that you can turn these into. The only thing that would be a little unusual or a little different, but is if you go from here to Atlanta, for example, and then you come back, instead of making that delivery in Raleigh, you drop it on the yard. So you would come into dispatch and simply scan in everything that you have. We know that the bill of lading would not be signed at that point, but you go ahead and scan it in. The local driver who will deliver that to Raleigh will then scan in the signed bill of lading, and that will all go together because they'll all, again, have that load number at the top to make it easy for the system to match up, and that takes care of that. I can't stress enough, once you get the packet, look over it. If you have any questions, let somebody know. We need to take the next couple of weeks to get used to the system, use it, work out any things we find that don't seem to be working quite right, so that on that August 13th we are set to go and there are no glitches, no surprises that come up, because everything must be turned in by Transflo in order for payroll to run smoothly and payroll to be able to release your check on time. So we don't want anybody to have any problems with that. So go ahead, start using it, get used to it, let us know if you have any questions. And hopefully it'll be a great transition and we'll be able to do great things with our customers and with moving payroll up and being more efficient all the way around. Thanks so much. Drive safe.